advantages of MPP columnar stores, let us go back to the main core question for which we are doing this webinar. How best do we model data on them to leverage their benefits? One important note that I would like to bring out here is MPP columnar stores definitely cater to analytics. Therefore, most of the data warehouse modeling or the dimensioning modeling, star schema techniques definitely apply to columnar stores. Many of the rules can be modified or maybe skipped altogether for MPP columnar stores. We are not reinventing the wheel out here. No, definitely not. We are merely going to see what modeling techniques are best suited for MPP columnar stores. Granularity. Granularity is the single most critical design aspect in modeling the data warehouse. The grain establishes exactly what a single fact table row represents. The grain also needs to be decided before designing facts and associated dimensions. Here, what I have done is I have taken an example of granularity from Bill Emmons' Building the Data Warehouse, the 4th edition. And if you look at this example, there are two grains that have been defined to help you understand better. A detailed grain is declared, and the grain that is declared out here is details of every phone calls made by customer for a month, while coarse graining is summary of phone calls made by customer for a month. On declaring these two types of grains, the following is immediately evident. Grains directly affect the volume of data that the warehouse stores, and grains also directly affect the type of query that can be posed and answered. Coarse granularity or aggregation reduces data, thus leading to storage savings and improves overall performance, whether it is processing queries, retrievals, backups, archivals, etc. As you can see out here and compare, storing of 4,000 bytes per month or 200 rows versus just 200 bytes for a single row. This is a drastic reduction in data which is being stored, and therefore it also affects the performance. Fine granularity, on the other hand, stores data at the detail level. It allows addressing of future ad hoc or unknown queries or requirements. It helps in deeper analysis. From detailed data, it is possible to find out a customer that whether a customer had called a friend in Boston last week or not. While this is not possible in coarse granularity at all, had you stored the data only a summary data, that analysis would not have been possible at all. Of course, more storage requirements is evident in fine granularity. The key takeaway is that you need to define very fine level of grains in MPP columnar stores. That is the key takeaway or the key recommendation that we would like to give when it comes to defining grains for MPP columnar stores. And the reason for that is very simple. They support petabyte scale of data, and they also support parallel processing. Data distribution and co-location. These are very important factors in MPP columnar stores. In this example, let us assume that we have an MPP system which has 3 nodes and 1 master node. And let's also assume that there is a table of products, and it has been divided or it has been distributed according to its product ID, which is 147 and so on. Now, if we can have 2 types of queries, or let's take an example of 2 queries. Select star from products where the product ID is 5. And you have another query, let's assume that there is another query where it says select star from products where product ID is in 1,3. It's very evident for the first query, the master node will parse and generate the query plan and will then issue the query to node 2. And it will do this because it is aware of the data distribution of the table. Now the query needs to only scan 3 rows in node 2 as compared to 9 rows had it been a normal non-MPP database and a simple table. For the second query, the query is submitted to node 1 and node 3 in parallel. The parallel word is important out here. Each parallel process will scan only 3 rows and return the data set back to the master node. The master node in turn will stitch the results together and present it to the client. And as a result, data distribution in MPP columnar stores definitely help in even workload and distributing data. They improve drastically in query performance by skipping the nodes and by doing fewer scans. Ensure it's important. An important aspect that you need to consider is that distribution can happen only on a single column. Teradata is an exception out here. Teradata seems to allow distribution on multiple columns. The other important aspect is improper distribution of data can cause poor performance in MPP columnar stores. And there is the important aspect of co-location as well, which we will see in the coming slide. In this example, and you can see it's purely a diagrammatic example, data co-location is a concept in MPP columnar store which occurs when data on one table required as part of the query is on the same compute node as that of the other table participating in the join. Data co-location is a result of joins happening on the distribution keys of two tables. In this example, on the left-hand side, both the tables have distribution keys defined on column A. And column A is also the join key. As a result, every node has data pertaining to the join criteria stored locally. Data does not need to traverse other nodes for the join operation, as is the case in the right-hand side, where we can see that the data needs to traverse. Out here in the right-hand side, the join is happening on column A, but the distribution has happened on column B. Joins in MPP columnar store can quickly become a bottleneck, and it is something that needs to be taken care of. Now, it is immediately evident that data co-location cannot happen for all queries. And that is because distribution happens only on one column and can be defined only during table creation. Not only that, every query will have its own join criteria, and it may not always be possible to use only the distribution key column for the join. For Teradata, definitely this is an exception because it allows multiple keys to be defined as a distribution key. But otherwise, there is a probable workaround, and we'll talk about this workaround now. You could probably have a workaround by having co-location on multiple columns. And how do we do that is, you add a custom column, concatenate the values from all the possible join columns and store it into that column. Use this column as both the distribution key as well as the join key. But this may not be very neat, it may not be optimal. What you need to understand is this is just a workaround. In this example out here, the same has been depicted. You can see that column B and A could be the probable join columns, and as a result what we have done is we have created a custom column underscore AB. We have concatenated the values, and we have done so for the other table also, which is going to be joined. And as a result, we have not only distributed the entire table on this custom column, we have also used it as a join criteria. And that is what is promoting the co-location, and as a result, you could probably have better performance. So the best practices in summary for data distribution is that unique or primary keys are preferred for distribution. Ensure that you define the distribution key explicitly, else the MPP system could use the first column of the table as default. Try to promote data co-location by using distributed keys and join keys together. Evaluate the use of custom columns with concatenated values. Try out different options, columns for distributions before finalizing. When nothing else seems to be a perfect, when no other column seems to be a perfect candidate for distribution, allow the MPP columnar store to use the default measures. Denormalization. Perhaps denormalization or flattening of tables is perhaps the most underrated technique, but it works wonders in MPP columnar stores. Let's look at this using a very simple example. We have on the left of out here in this diagram, on the left we have a situation when two tables have different join keys and distribution keys. Column A is the join key, while the distribution has happened on column J. The situation actually improves on the right hand side when both the distribution and the join key are the same. And the right hand side, in this diagram, you can see that column A is not only the distribution key, it is also being used as a join key. So this is, we have seen this earlier as well in the earlier few slides. But here what you have is that you have a scope and you have an opportunity of clubbing the two tables together. If you look at this diagram now, you have altogether you have avoided the need for having joins by clubbing the related columns together and moving them into one single table. And this is the concept of denormalization or flattening. And yes, definitely redundancy could be an issue, but this is taken care of by the smart compression that MPP columnar stores they utilize. Not only that, there is also no need of the surrogate column, that is column A is not required anymore. The important column that is required is column B. So A, we have seen that you have removed this entire column, and the second aspect is you have also compressed it, and therefore as a result of this you don't even need to do any joins. You can directly access the table and query it. So what are the advantages? Well, joins can be completely avoided. MPP column stores, they support innumerable columns in a table. You can definitely take the advantages of compression, and you can save the I/O, save the costs, save the storage costs. You can reduce the efforts of designing complex facts and dimensions. You can also reduce the efforts in developing intricate ETL jobs. This also brings in more simplicity and flexibility. You can simply load and analyze, and it also reduces time to market. There are a few disadvantages though. The disadvantages obviously include that this may not be applicable to all scenarios. and may not at times be scalable. It is quite difficult to imagine modeling a single table with all columns that you need for the entire data warehouse. But if you do manage to do that, it's worth a try definitely in MPP columnar stores. How do we manage facts in MPP columnar stores? To give you a brief on what facts is, it's a dimensional modeling concept. Fact tables form the center of a star schema, and they are surrounded by dimensions. In other words, fact tables have multiple dimensions associated with it as foreign keys. Fact tables typically have millions of rows, less columns but huge number of records. Thus they are long and skinny tables. The number of rows in fact is directly associated to the grain that is defined, and we have seen the concept of granularity earlier. There are various types of facts, and that is depicted in this small diagram. But the way to model them in MPP columnar stores is to create the finest grains that is possible. Avoid aggregation or creating aggregates from finer grains. This is not required in MPP column stores. Use compression. Consolidate the facts from all available source systems. This is important. Do not create different facts as per the sources. So consolidate all the facts and avoid centipede facts because they cause snowflaking. In this example out here, which has been taken from Kimball's example for clickstream aggregation, the left hand side is fine grain and the right hand side is an aggregation of this. So aggregation is possible if you have fine grains, but that per se aggregation is not required. Aggregation of facts is not required in MPP columnar stores. You can afford to have huge amount of data stored in fine details in the fact table itself. Moving on, how can we manage dimensions? Dimensions categorize and describe data warehouse facts and measures in a way that support meaningful answers to business questions. Dimensions describe the who, what, where, when, how associated to an event. Facts and measures are sliced and diced and even drilled across various dimensions. Dimensions are short but are fact tables. There are many types of dimensions, but most of them have and can definitely be avoided in MPP columnar stores. In short, they can be flattened. Degenerate dimensions are those with no content except for its primary key. Example, an invoice number is a valid dimension key, but it does not have any specific fields to describe it. So how do we manage degenerate dimensions is that we try and club them together with the related facts, flatten them. Hierarchical dimensions are those that have hierarchy associated. Examples include sales region, hierarchy, product categories, inventory types, etc. You should flatten hierarchies also. Do not worry about data redundancy at all in MPP columnar stores. Avoid the risk of snowflaking, which are associated to hierarchies. Snowflake dimensions are related to hierarchies. Snowflake schema is a variation of the star schema, where the dimensions, the snowflake dimensions are further related to multiple dimensions. In a star schema, each dimension is further related to multiple dimensions. Then the shape starts to resemble a snowflake, and therefore the name snowflake. Product category, sales region, etc. can be modeled as a snowflake, but in MPP columnar stores, try and avoid them. Outrigger dimensions or bridge tables are used to manage many-to-many relationships. Again, they are more related. They are more limited compared to snowflakes, but definitely can be avoided in MPP columnar stores. Similarly, you have shrunken mini dimensions, you have junk dimensions, you have calendar date dimension. Calendar date also, while there are many advocates of calendar date, dimension, it is recommended that you add the date column directly into the facts. Do not create a separate date dimension. This will ensure that you avoid the joins with the date calendar dimension. Moving on to flags and indicators, you should try and expand the abbreviations and compress the column. Surrogate keys definitely should be used along with natural keys, and try and avoid null indicators for dimensions. Instead of using null, you can try and use an indicator such as not available, and then you can compress that entire column. So these are some of the practices or ways to manage dimensions in MPP columnar stores. Moving on, slowly changing dimensions. Over time, dimensions can change with time. Very typical example is address fields of customers or loan status, etc. They can change with time. When the value of a dimension gets updated, then there comes the question as to how to maintain the earlier value. There are many ways to deal with such slowly changing dimensions, and here is a summary table that we have depicted of how to, there are various techniques to handle slowly changing dimensions, type 0 to type 7. But what we have seen is for MPP columnar stores, the best way to handle slowly changing dimension is type 3, wherein a new column gets added, and the new column can store the updated value. Key recommendations for MPP columnar databases include that ensure that you manage these slowly changing dimensions purely on business needs. Type 3 is a recommended option. Strive for a simpler design. Perform tests on various and different types of slowly changing dimensions before finalizing on one. But the recommended option definitely is type 3. Now that we have gone through various dimensional modeling techniques for MPP columnar stores, let's quickly also look at how to handle DML operations. MPP columnar stores are not for performing transactional operations, that is insert, updates and deletes. MPP columnar stores, while being very fast, do not replace transactional OLTP systems. MPP columnar stores are definitely meant for handling huge amount of structured data and to perform fast analytics on them. Now, why is it that inserts are slow in MPP columnar stores? Traditional row-oriented databases handle inserts way much better over column-oriented databases. While row-oriented databases insert a single row, column-oriented databases insert the value of the row into each column, and each of these columns could probably be stored in different blocks, several blocks or several files. As a result, inserts become quite slow. Traditional inserts become quite slow in MPP columnar stores. So as a result, the best practice obviously is to use bulk loading wherever it is possible for MPP columnar stores. Out here there are some numbers that we have shown. The insert performance that was observed for 1 million row having 16 columns was found to be about 12,500 rows per second approximately. But the load performance, even for a 10 million row operation for a 100 column table, was found to be 6,25,000. It's an amazing increment when you compare to traditional inserts. Therefore, the load performance, moreover, it does not dip with the increase in the number of columns to be loaded or in the increase in the number of columns which are present in the table. The same is not true for inserts. And here are some best practices for DMLs in MPP columnar databases. clearly use bulk loading, try and avoid normal insert statements. When the insert is affecting more than 30 to 40% of the size of the table, try and evaluate truncate drop and use bulk loading. If it is not always possible, try to see if you can at least use the CTOS, which is the create table as select. You could probably also use insert into table and then select star from a table for doing inserts. These are some ways to handle inserts. When it comes to deletes, what is important in columnar stores or being warehouse databases, usually deletes are not required in data warehouses, but wherever it is required, if significant deletes are happening, consider doing bulk load data. So what you can do is you can drop the table and just simply load the fresh data and rename the table back. You can try and consolidate the deletes within a single table and across tables, and try to do these operations during off-peak hours or during weekends. Delete data when absolutely needed. You can probably handle it in the BI layer as well. Many of the MPP columnar stores do not enforce referential constraints. Therefore, care must be taken that deletes happen on related tables as well. There are similar considerations to be done for updates as well. Two important aspects that you should definitely consider for MPP is that for dimensional tables, follow rules for managing slowly changing dimensions. Updates on distribution keys can cause data skew, so you should try and watch out for the same. Moreover, for significant updates as well, consider drop and load. And after you have done significant update changes in the table, you can also consider redistributing the data after. This is just to avoid the data skew. Now that we have seen, the data